Ready? Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Ragtown Park Commission meeting of August 21, 2018. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not currently have a quorum. Benny Salonicho and Josh Cohen will not be joining us. And Emily is on her way, stuck in traffic, unfortunately. So we will commence with items that do not require a vote. Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Falenka,
Here.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Here.
Supervisor Zuckerman,
Yes, I am here.
President Zuckerman.
That's all right. Person of many titles. Let us start with public comment on non-agenda items. Does any member of the public wish to speak on items that are not on the agenda? Well, not seeing anyone. Let's do the management report. Lawrence? Are you doing the management report?
I'm going to start and Lawrence will join in.
Okay. Debbie will start and Lawrence will join.
So in addition to the items that are in your agenda, which we don't need to recite, I wanted to inform the commission that the issues with regard to the beach rake getting stuck have continued to be addressed. As you know, we brought in a contractor with our handyman with a bulldozer. We smoothed the sand further. We were still having issues. Last week, caretaker George Hogman brought in a technician from the rakes manufacturer, Barber, who came down and made several adjustments to the machinery and also let a considerable amount of air out of the tires, and that has solved our problem. We haven't gotten stuck since. So we have avoided the purchase of a whole new set of tires and wheels.
Which are considerably expensive for
Yes.
a vehicle of that size.
So we have found our solution, and the rake will be going to Barber over the winter for winterizing and storage. In addition to that, our open water swim at Ragtown Park program continues to be a phenomenal success beyond anything that we had expected. We currently have 198 permit holders. I got an email this evening, so we could be at 199 permit holders. That's $10,000 raised from those permits. It's to completely cover the expense for the lifeguard and the additional buoys that we purchased and other support materials. Barley Beach House, at the suggestion of Councilwoman Lindsay Jackson, agreed to participate in the Sharing Shelves Backpacks to School drive, which is running now through Labor Day, and there's a drop-off at the restaurant. This is for part of a program for the Family Services of Westchester. We are starting on post-season planning right now. Work will begin next week with meetings with each department to do a debrief while we still have everybody around and beginning to plan for the 2019 budget and what our post-season staffing is going to look like. Sarah Suma and Bill Lawyer and Karen Johnson, our program administrator, have been working on a plan for a fall family festival, and you'll be getting more details about that in your email. The date planned is October 20th, which is one day before Rye City's window painting festival. So we're syncing in with other community activities. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful event this year. And there's also a jazz concert that's being planned, and I'm going to invite Lawrence Vargas up to tell you a little bit about that. There's also materials and a one-pager in your binders in the pocket. Lawrence?
So on September 1st, right? That's the Saturday. Saturday, we are hoping to have and will have a Brazilian jazz concert in the park. It'll take place at the gazebo in the event lawn area. First time this summer having a concert there. I know we've all talked about it, and this seemed to be a great opportunity to do one. A few weeks ago, I went to a jazz forum arts, right? Is that the correct title? Performance in Lyndhurst on the Hudson. And it was everything I kind of wanted in the park. There was like a few hundred people in the grass. There was a band performing. There was some food and drinks being served. And I asked Karen to reach out to the organizers. They're a not-for-profit in Terrytown that have basically a series going on every day in the summer along the Hudson. And within a week, the gentleman who's in charge of the not-for-profit, Mark Morganelli, came down to the park, loved it, and wanted to do something this summer before the season ended, with the goal to do a series next summer, a Saturday series in the afternoon. That's the only day they have left because they're doing series throughout the, like I said, throughout the Hudson. It's going to be a great weekend, hopefully. I want to do it the Labor Day weekend, given the fact that we'll have an audience there already. You know, we're not going to charge extra. We'll just charge the normal parking rates. You know, there's no really extra staff needed, no additional operational expenses. So I think there should be no issues in terms of staffing whatsoever, even though we're towards the end of the season. And I really think this is a great way to kind of introduce to people what we plan on doing next Saturday for the entire summer. So any questions? If Karen, you want to add anything? Because Karen is a diehard jazz fan. She was talking with Mark about things I have no idea. So if you have anything else to talk about in terms of Mark and his band. No.
You know what, just a moment. Karen, I'd love to introduce you to the commission. And
Yes.
so Karen Johnson was recommended to us by Benny Salanitro, who's known her from Amerenac. She has a background in event production, and she has stepped in to assist Lawrence in developing some of the out of the ordinary ideas that we've been bringing in terms of introducing additional revenue sources and other kinds of creative ideas for Ryetown Park. For example, finding the kayak firm, that was all Karen. So this is an idea that she has brought to us.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else regarding the concert and questions? I just hope for good weather. It has rained almost every day for the last 6 weeks. So please, fingers crossed that we can have a nice Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence.
So one thing I wanted to point out is there is a cost associated with this event. I wanted to make sure that the commission's on board with this idea.
There'll be no cost to patrons besides normal weekend admissions fees, but this is gonna be on the lawn, so does that mean, how do you charge? Just parking?
Parking.
Okay,
And one of the cool things is if local community members want to walk onto the park with their lawn chairs and their blanket,
Yeah.
then there's zero cost.
great. And thank you to the Barley Beach House for underwriting a good part of the cost.
And before we get off the matter, you mentioned the open water swim. We had pictures taken last Thursday. Can we are they posted yet? I didn't check.
They're not posted yet.
Okay. Some of the better ones.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say one of the things that we host at the end of September is the Westchester Triathlon, which is a very big event. And the triathlon gave a clinic last Thursday, and it was extremely well attended. Anybody could come. There was no charge for the clinic, except people who weren't in the open water swim would have had to pay for parking and beach. But we had approximately 100 people for the clinic, and when everybody hit the water, it was just an amazing sight with all the brightly colored caps and things like that. It was really nice. Anyway, hopefully pictures soon. Let's move on. Since we did a report, let's do the restaurant report. You guys have a report?
You want to go, or you want me to go first? All right, so first thing we'll start with.
Introduce yourselves
Oh,
again.
sorry. I'm Chris Horace, one of the owners of the Barley Beach House.
Bobby Harris.
First off, we're happy to announce that we did work out a resolution to the paper straws. So we found a company that we could get the paper straws to at a reasonable price. So we're currently running through the product that we have now, and hopefully in a couple weeks we'll have our stock of straws, and we're going to make the move to paper straws. So that was something that took a little bit of work and time for us, but we're going to make it happen. As you mentioned before, we are sponsoring the Brazilian event. We're going to donate $1,500 to the concert, and hope that it's a big success, and it will grow over the years, and we could grow with it. We're going to serve pretzels, popcorn, drinks, a couple other things. One thing I think that we wanted to ask permission for is if we were able to bring a beer truck back to the park during that event to sell beer for that event. Similar to what we did for the 4th of July, just a small truck with a couple beers on tap where we could regulate it and sell beer for the event.
Yep.
So,
Any opposition?
Does that need to go through the food truck? Is that the same as a food?
no, it would be,
Trailer,
it's a mobile trailer.
okay.
It's not a food truck.
Great.
Mobile trailer. Much smaller. So if we're good with that, then that'd be fantastic.
How are your expectations being met so far this summer?
It's been a rough summer. I mean, like Lauren said before, it's just rain every day. And on our end, it's tough because, we don't want to understaff and cut corners. So, we're there during the rain. The weather's kind of been, it hasn't been thunderstorms. It's been cloudy and overcast with chance of rain. So it's tough on us because we got to be there 24/7. It's not like we're shutting the doors. So, just the wear and tear on everybody, and the staff not making money, and everybody's kind of sitting around. It's been a long summer, but we're hoping a couple of weeks ahead of us is gonna make up for the couple
We're
weeks
hoping
in the past.
to.
Yeah.
We want to wish you the greatest
Yeah,
success.
it's we'll get there. It's this is something that we expected would happen. We're gonna have some great summers, and we're gonna have some some rainy seasons.
Well,
So,
we have the same thing just in general beach admission and parking because it's all weather dependent.
yeah, it's tough, but it's nothing that we didn't think it was expected. We were hoping it wasn't going to come year one, but we'll get through it. We are also working with Sarah Suma on the Oktoberfest event that she's doing. That's another event that we would like to grow with, and maybe potentially even take over in a couple, in the future, and help grow that. Bring in some live music bands, maybe some more beer vendors and trucks. And that event also, being that it is an Oktoberfest, we're looking to get approval on bringing in a beer truck into the park also. Maybe 2 from different vendors, because there is a lot of October beers out there. So certain vendors carry certain beers, and we might want to get 2 or 3 trucks there just to have a variety of beers. We don't really know what the outcome's going to be of it, but we're willing to bring in the truck, sell the pretzels, and do our part of it, and to help it grow.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
We have the collection box for the back to school, so if anybody wants to drop anything off there, feel free to come by and do it. We'll also be making a donation to that box to help get it going. We're going to start putting some stuff in there to catch people's eyes, to show people that they could leave stuff in there. So we're working on all that stuff to get people to drop stuff off. Next thing we want to bring up is the North Gate. Since the last meeting we had, haven't really done much over there with the North Gate. Like we said before, the weather has just been, it's been so bad, it hasn't been, we don't think that we're gonna do any sales there with a little cart of selling, you know, hot dogs and drinks and water, when we're selling them right out of the bar area of the restaurant. The guests are coming in, buying bottles of water, and if they want snacks from the concession stand, we're just bringing them up and giving them what they want. So we just wanted to let you know, we haven't really done anything there yet. We have a meeting next week with our contractor that will be doing the renovations for us in the second phase of renovation. So the next meeting, we'll have a better idea of where we're gonna be at over there, what we plan on really doing over there, and how we're gonna put it together.
All right.
One issue that, it's not really an issue, but it's being brought up by the residents and people that are coming, is the parking. Well, first off, we're now validating parking. We have a system in place now where it's going through our POS, we're validating $5 off the parking with a $60 check or more. So if there's multiple cars and the check is higher, you know, we can make adjustments for all that stuff too. So we are validating parking. Some non-residents are saying that it would be better for them if they could, the parking for the residents goes down at 4 o'clock. If the non-residents also would go down sooner, they would come in for earlier dinners or dinner opposed to not coming in. Because currently, right now, it's still $10 to park after 7 p.m. Where, was it 10 or, Lawrence, I'm sorry, is it 10 or 20 until 7 p.m.?
Weekdays and weekends.
Is it?
Weekends is 20.
Weekend, it's 20 until 7. So if that, maybe on the weekends could go, we could figure something out where that could go down sooner, so we could maybe try to build an earlier dinner crowd from non-residents. That would we'd greatly appreciate it, and that would help us, and I think it would help us on the weekends and weekdays to grow also.
Are you suggesting we do it right away?
No,
or
I
wait
just
till
wanted
next
to bring
year?
it up as, you know,
For next
just, yeah, just a,
You guys can now see and track, like, how many cars you get in after a certain time, right, with that POS system you have? So just maybe something to look at, benefit us both.
You know, I think that you should start writing down all of the suggestions that you have going forward, so that we have plenty of time to enact them or consider them. You know, we don't enact things that quickly here. Sometimes it takes a month or two to get it through. But the sooner you start with that, preparing for next year, or even any suggestions you have for the shoulder season, you know, would be very helpful.
yeah, absolutely. We could
So
just
that-
start an email chain too, just to keep it going in the right direction. So the next thing we'd like to bring up. In previous years, you were allowed to, well, I don't want to say you were allowed or weren't allowed. We don't know what was allowed in the previous years, but we're getting a lot of residents and dog walkers and people that want to just kind of come in and grab a beer and either drink in the park or take it onto the beach. We're currently not allowing it. Some people are getting a little heated about it, even saying that they're going to go to the other restaurant and get it, and it doesn't make a difference because they're allowed to drink in the park. They could do whatever they want with it. We're being very cautious on what we do, and we would like to sell just to-go cups of a drink or a beverage that people could take into the park, and potentially sell just beer and frozen drinks on the beach.
I think that there are no restrictions on the park, as far as I know. Am I correct?
I believe they're allowed to bring drinks into the park, correct?
The issue has been, and this is not their fault, but in previous restaurants, just the crowd that is gathered outside with the beers became a little rowdy, and it was the biggest headache for our security staff. And then they would take those cups and then bring them onto the beach, which you can't drink. And we really just can't sit there, you know, sniffing everybody's cup, not knowing if it's alcohol or not. So that became the biggest concern for security, is them taking those cups and then bringing them onto the beach where you can't drink. And it's hard for us to police that. So that's why we've asked them not to, just because it became a mess, and then you had people drinking on it, and then, you know, what that leads to with residents, how come this person's drinking, you know. So that's why we've asked them not to. It's something I'm open to discussing, but that's the reason we've added
Well, I
that.
think we need to have a full discussion for next year about that issue, because this is not a new issue with you. It's been discussed in the past, And one of the items I think that's a possibility, of course, subject to commission approval, is a designated area in front of the concession stand, you know, that would be roped off in some way so that people can get beer on the beach, but only in that designated area and not in other areas. I understand that there's a problem. How do you stop people from taking it from that area to the beach? That's something that I think we need to discuss. Also, as far as drinking in the park, it's my understanding that people can bring their own beverage to the park, but I don't believe that state liquor authority rules allow you to give a drink for them to take from the restaurant to the park. I'm not sure about that. It may be, you know, part of what they call the open container law. So I would suggest that you check with your liquor authority attorney to find out exactly what you can and cannot do in terms of having beverages go from, I mean, alcoholic beverages go from your premises elsewhere.
Okay.
You know, and we'd be happy to discuss
Yeah,
that.
we'll absolutely look into it. And again, we've discussed too, we knew this is something that wasn't gonna be voted on right now or this year. But we would be willing to, you know, do something on the beach where we would get palm trees or fences or something to station off an area. If we could, we would be allowed to do that also. So again, we could get an email going just so we have a chain of communication,
Okay.
a line of communication between each other. We'll talk to our liquor attorney and see where we stand with everything.
And we can do designated cups, so it's easy to distinguish what's alcohol, what's
Mhm.
not.
Right.
I do recall, yeah, and we can dig into this a little bit deeper, but my recollection when we were working on the lease and another conversation, alcohol is not allowed in Rye-Town Park at all under Rye City Code. I just checked with our city attorney and she said that's correct. I'm assuming you mean in the grassy area, yeah. So anyway, I think we just need to clarify this.
Yeah, we had in the previous administration, before your time, we had a meeting with Rice City Police, Kristen Wilson was certainly there, and we discussed how we would handle alcohol. And the decision was made that it was going to be handled exactly as it has been handled for the entire history of the park. So there was no change in policy. Thank you. Practice.
Anyway, it's something we should look into.
Sure.
All right.
I think that's all we have,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to the top of the agenda.
Yeah. Okay. I do allow it. Okay, I mean, I didn't, and I'm happy about the fact that it's the policy stuff, but.
All right. We have minutes from July 17th, 2008,
2018.
2018. Yes, I saw the 8, yes. I live in the past sometimes. And I guess, I don't think we formally noted that Emily Hurd has formally joined
Apologies
the
for the delay.
commission. That's all right. Mark her as present, and
Thank
we
you.
have a quorum. Adoption of minutes, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
If there are no additions or corrections, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Appointing a task force to consider removing or replacing the duck pond fence. This is an item that has been discussed over the past several meetings. Last meeting, we decided to appoint a citizens committee. We've had volunteers, and the list of volunteers is Jamie Jensen, Chris Cohen, Kathy Savolt, Ann Moeller, and Lawrence Vargas, who's our park director. Most people know Jamie. She's been very active in the park. Chris Cohen, in the past, has been a landscape architect that performed excellent work. and has had an interest in the park for many, many years. Kathy Savold, former mayor of Mamaroneck. Ann Moeller, I believe from the Friends, correct? Friends of Rydtown Park. So unless there's an objection, that will be our committee. And I've asked Jamie, and she's accepted to become chair. Is that okay?
Fine.
Okay, fine. So that is our committee.
Thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those of you, several of you are here, I believe, or is it only Kathy?
Kathy and
Kathy, well, Lawrence
and
is here. Lawrence has to be here. Okay, Kathy Savold is here. So, and thank you, everybody for volunteering, and hopefully, one or two meetings will resolve this. Let me just tell you, without prejudicing anything, my personal opinion is that that fence, as it exists, has to go. It's ugly. The question, in my view, is, does it get replaced with nothing, or does it get replaced with an attractive fence? That's my own personal view, which I will interject. And if anybody else has a comment, please feel free.
Can I just make, I just want to
Sure,
thank,
Kathy.
I want to thank the commission for listening to the constituents and the users of the park, because I know a lot of people hadn't been following the issue, and it sort of came down that the fence was being removed, and there was a flurry of activity, and I know you all got a lot of phone calls and whatnot. And I think that's one thing we've learned in the past 18 months or so, to reach out to our elected officials when there's something going on that people aren't happy with and they want to participate to maybe make some changes. And so I want to thank the commission very much for listening to everyone and for appointing this committee, and I think we'll come up with a solution.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Excellent.
We need a motion, Mr. Supervisor, on the mental
I,
health these
well, yeah,
individuals.
yeah, we'll do a formal motion and a second to appoint the task force as so named with Jamie Jensen as chair.
I move on the appointment of these individuals to the task force.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. One other committee note, which I forgot to do, we have a parking committee to work with our parking consultant, and Russ Gold is our chair who's sitting here. And I asked, unless there's objection, Lindsay Jackson from Rhinebeck to join that committee. And she's also a councilwoman from the town of Rye. So formally, thank you, Lindsay. And now, believe it or not, unless I've missed something, we're on our last item. Adopting a negative declaration in connection with the Rydtown Park seawall repair. Just an update, Beth Evans, our environmental consultant, has provided the EAF Environmental Assessment Form, Parts 1, 2, and 3. We adopted Part 1, and Parts 2 and 3 were completed and are submitted to the commissioners. Part 2 and 3 are the essential ones. It explains in detail why this action, which is normally a type 1 action because it is in a environmentally sensitive area, why it is subject to a negative declaration. It's all set forth in the EAF and in the addendum to the EAF as to why there are no adverse environmental impacts. And this is basically a repair of the seawall, a repair in kind, and that's the basic reasoning. At any rate, I assume all the members of the commission have read all the documents, and may have a motion and a second, and we'll have a full roll call.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Debbie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Falenka,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. And just as an update, the matter of the seawall has been placed before the Rye City Planning Commission.
Okay.
And I believe it's at sometime in September for a wetlands permit, and I think there are a couple of other permits. I had sent Beth Evans' memo to the commission earlier. It's not in this packet, but you all have it in an email that I sent to you over a week ago. So we're moving forward, and we're still waiting to hear from FEMA on the updated plans. I'm told by Dolph Rothfeld's office that they are in communication, the papers are moving, and hopefully we'll have a decision soon. So that's where we are in that. And with any luck, we'll have it repaired before next summer's swim season.
Great. I do have a question just with respect to Beth Evans' services. I know we had talked a couple of months ago about the scope and the bill, and so when we've completed the application, is there any need for her to do any further work? Will she?
I think that will finish it. She'll have done, when the city of Rye grants the permits, and then the DEC cannot grant the final permit until the city of Rye grants
Okay.
its permits. So they work hand in hand, and she's in communication with the DEC and with Christian Miller of the city of Rye. So hopefully it'll all go hand in hand.
There
and
was
we'll
a
get it done.
question whether the city of Rye would waive the permit fees.
Oh, right, I did see that correspondence. And did you get an answer?
I have not.
Who had you emailed? Marcus?
I emailed Marcus, and I believe I copied you and
Yeah, I
Josh.
remember seeing the email, but I didn't see a
But actually, I'm asking, I don't know the process, so.
Okay, neither do I, but I'll follow up with Marcus. And I think the planning commission, is it once a month on the third Tuesday? Do you know? Anyway, before then,
It's in my
we'll have an
calendar,
answer.
but I don't
Yeah.
remember off the top of my head.
Hopefully it's not on the day when we have our
Hopefully not the third Tuesday.
Oh, today's Tuesday?
We'll figure it out.
I don't know what day it is, yeah,
It wasn't a conflict, I remember that,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Well, that
And
brings
the-
up another matter. We do have a conflict with next month's meeting.
Right,
It is on Yom Kippur, and we need to change the date of the meeting. Debbie had sent out an email, and the question is, do we have a date that we can all agree on? And if not, then we're gonna have to do it via email and just set up the date and notify the newspapers.
the Rye City Council has a meeting on September 26th, so that date is out for Josh and I. We had talked about the 24th and then the 20th.
Wait a second. The 26th, why don't we do what we do here? Why don't we have our commission meeting in front of your city council
Oh.
meeting?
September 18th is Yom Kippur. It's the start of Yom Kippur.
We usually have an
It
executive
can't be
session
on
in
the
advance of our meeting. I could ask Mayor Cohen if that'd be nice to have it at Rye City Hall.
What day?
26th, which is a Wednesday.
I'll be away, but you guys go ahead.
And I'll be away.
All right, I think that what we're gonna need to do is, change the date. We'll have to do it via email and notify the newspapers. I don't think anybody's gonna object to doing it that way, because we just don't have a date right now.
Yeah.
And we aren't, the one thing we know is we're not having it on the 18th, so. Where is Sarah here?
No.
So, no.
Oh, the other
Sarah from the Westmore News at
Oh,
least.
that's Sarah.
Yes, she can make a note that we're not going to have the meeting on the 18th. And the Rye City papers could be so informed. We will advise everybody when that meeting date is. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so, that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and by the way, that is the shortest Rye Town Commission